Oh, it looks like we have some people here already. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can?
Yes.
I'm going to start recording. So we're now recording so that I can post this to Facebook when we're done. We still got some people joining, connecting. Okay, let's get started. So filtered lists is a way to get data in a single list and work from it from your index rather than having to work from it from, say, a report. But the filters can be used for reports if you have 2019. So 2017 users, I'm sure we have some here. John will help me remember to make sure that we make sure that we tell you the differences between 2017 and 2019 in terms of the filters. There's only a few differences, but we will explain those as we go along. Okay, so first we're going to start with filtering by an ancestral line. So let's say, okay, let me share my screen here. Share screen. Here we go. That's the one I want. Okay. Okay, so can everybody see this, see my FTM? No? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay. All right. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so I'm going to go to, so down here, select filter down at the bottom of the index, new filter. Okay, and I want I'm going to choose this line that I'm working on. Okay, and I want to have all the ancestors of this person. So I'm going to click on ancestors. I have the choice to include all parents or only preferred parents if there's step parents or adoptive versus birth parents. Include all spouses or only include preferred spouses, again, if there's more than one marriage. So I tend to do all parents and all spouses for this particular one. And I can include the ancestors' descendants. In this particular line, I only have one generation, but you can include up to many generations. And that will include the descendants of those ancestors also. So here we go. I'll click OK. And that's actually what I expect, about 57. Okay. Now, if I want to say, for some reason, I want to remove someone from this list. I don't need them in the list, don't want them in the list for some reason. I can exclude just that person if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave this as it is for now. And I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to title it Arnold Parent Ancestor. I'm just going to do Parent Ancestors. It's actually, I've been told numerous times by my daughter, because this is her in-laws, it's actually pronounced parent, but we're not going to worry about that. And I can choose a color if I want to. And this color will show up in the regular index as well. So I'm going to go ahead and color it red for now. And I'm going to click save. Okay, now, you see over here underneath the index where it has now showing just those. I'll take the hints off. There we go. So it's just showing just that line. So now if I want to work just on that line, then I have it just so I can just work on that line. I don't have any other names in here. I don't have to worry about any other colors getting confusing me. And this gives me the option to just have this line front and center. If I don't want to work on this line, I just uncheck this apply button and it goes back to the normal index. But you'll see that this line is still in red.
So how did you uncheck that? I
So,
didn't see.
okay, so down here at the bottom of the index, there's an apply button with a checkbox.
Okay.
So click on that and you're out of that filter. You're back to your regular index, but that line is still in red. So that could come in handy. Then you can, if you decide you don't want this filter anymore, you go up to here to manage filters. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay, manage filters. Then I would click on the filter. 2017 users, this window looks a little bit different. You have a plus minus down here at the bottom where we have this garbage can and this copy selected. You have a plus minus down there. Same thing. So if you go here and you delete the filter for you 2017 users, you will do minus. I delete the filters. I click OK.
Or not.
And it removes that color also. So that color coding is gone in your main index. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
If you have questions, please do ask.
So everything you just did with this filter process is gone, right?
Right.
Okay.
So let me go into one of my filters here that I already have. So I have a filter here that is just for deceased, where I've entered deceased in here into the in for death. I've entered deceased until I can find a death date. So this is great for when I want to go work on the tree, but I really don't want to get, some days you just don't want to deal with census and all of that. You just don't have the, you just don't want to get into all that. So this is a way for me just to work on just these, where I'm looking just for death records, easy peasy, doesn't require a ton of brain power, right? So I can use that, or I can just uncheck this and I can just, and it goes back to the regular one, but that filter's still there. So at any time, I can choose a filter and
So you created all these filters.
I did. These are filters I have for this tree.
Okay.
So like this one right here, I'm changing these to state census. Let me show you how I did this. Let me see how I did this filter. So I'm going to go into edit filter, and there I can see where this one was not a very good filter. I just did census exists, and I'm going in and finding my state census change from census to state census. So not a very great filter, but it works for this. I couldn't get it any better. All right, let's go. Let's move on.
Nancy,
I'm
can I ask
listening.
a quick question?
Go ahead.
When you did the census filter, did you have to add them one by one, or does it automatically pull it if you have them as sources?
It goes, when I did it, it was, oh, hang on. Manage, nah, sorry. Edit filter. I just did where census exists as the filter on this particular one. So this one, it just pulled in every census fact.
Yeah.
That's enough for a ladder truck. This is inflammable, so we got hydrants there.
Can you turn up your microphone just a little bit, please? I could hardly hear you. Okay. I'm going to go in, we're gonna do,
Nice, huh?
How do you know what filter you're working on? When you did that edit? Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
right.
Okay.
I got so much time in there now, I couldn't walk away from it, you know?
okay. All right, let's move on to another one. So new filter. So if you want to filter in all people, you would do include all. Sometimes it's necessary to do that, and then you would filter out any name or any other fact maybe you don't want.
Want to go a little bit more? Could pop up a little more. They raise a little bit in the oven too, don't they?
I think so, yeah.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going with my notes here.
Nancy, I'm sorry to interrupt. The noise we keep hearing is somebody named JP who doesn't have their volume muted, and we're hearing them in the background.
Okay.
That's why we keep getting distracted. There's some other conversation going on. They don't realize they're not muted.
Okay. So
JP, please mute.
Does he
looks
know how to do that?
it looks like he is muted. Okay.
Say Nancy, could you show us the or edit the deceased filter to see how you did that?
Oh, yes. So let's go to deceased and edit filter. So I did death contains deceased
Oh, okay.
because I use it in the date field.
Gotcha.
Okay, that makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Oh, Nancy, I think that it should just be noted for 2017, you cannot go back and edit a filter.
oh, yes, right. That is another difference for 2017 users. In fact, you can't edit a filter, and one of the differences is between this. So let's stick with my deceased filter for now. When I go and add a deceased date for the date for, like, say, a new person, then it's automatically added to my filter. When I find a death date for one of these that is in my deceased filter, then it leaves the filter. For 2017 users, you will have to recreate the filter for those to leave or be added. John, do I have that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nancy, can you
Yes.
explain a little bit more about how you're using the deceased fact to then add to the filter? Are you putting that in because you don't have a date and that prompts you to look for a death certificate or death information?
Yeah. So like I was saying before, some days I just don't want to put the brain power into finding censuses and dealing with all that and all the information that comes with them. I just want to do something easy, but is still advancing my tree. So this deceased filter right now, I've got 1,312 people in it. So I go in on those days and I'm just looking for death records. Easy peasy. And so I really like this filter. So the other thing that you can do, if you're not adding a keyword into the death date and you just are leaving the death date open when you don't have a death date and they are more than 100 years old or 120 years old, but you're leaving them open, you can filter for death. If you have a death date but you're not putting anything in it, you can filter for those too. So
What do you mean, Nancy, if you don't have anything in it in the death date?
some people, I've noticed this a lot on Ancestry. Some people will add a death fact, but don't put anything in it. So it's just an empty death fact because that marks the person as deceased on Ancestry rather than leaving them as living if they're under that 100-year or 120-year mark that Ancestry has. So if you're one of those people that likes to do that, it's not wrong, but if you're one of those people that likes to do that, you can filter for that where the death date is, or the death date is empty. So we'll get into that.
Could you show us where on your facts that information is, where you use that grabs from the filter? That's why I'm not connecting those two things.
Sure. Let me go in and show you here on Esther. So here you see where I have the death fact and it's up here in the death date. This is one of the keywords. We have these posted in the group that you can use, and it does transfer to Ancestry and marks the person as living. And doesn't it figure that Ancestry wants me to sign in again? Let me get this window out of the way. Dang it. I'm one of those that keeps getting kicked out of Ancestry.
Nancy, so on your filter that you created, maybe you showed this and I missed it. Does it filter for both the keyword of deceased or the date, or are those two, would you have to create two separate filters for that?
You would have to create two separate filters for that, or you can add that to, so if I want to go in and edit filter, and I can go in here and actually add another layer. So I can filter in, let's say I want to filter in where death date is after 1919, let's say. So now this is what we're referring to with you can layer filters. So now my filter contains people where the death has deceased in the date, and the death is after 1919. So, and I can click save. And now those people are included in the filter. You see where it's not just deceased now? Yes. And they're all after 1919.
And so you could also, instead of giving a specific date like 1919, you could have said any entry, any number, right? Any
right.
Date. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just if you had entered a death, then it would pull those people too.
Right.
Or you could do the reverse that didn't have a death, so you could find out who you're missing the death date on.
Right. You can do this any way you want, as long as the data is there.
Okay.
So let me go in and edit my filter. So I don't want this particular layer here. So I'm going to go in and delete it. And now my list has reverted back to just deceased. Pretty
Okay,
cool.
so
huh?
just so I understand, where is it pulling that from? From the facts or the date?
It's pulling it from the deceased, or sorry, from the death fact.
Death fact, and you can put in either deceased in there or a date.
Right. Or there's a few you can put about, or after, before, any of those keywords that are commonly used.
Gotcha.
So you can, as long as it exists in the fact, then you should be able to filter for it.
Would that work for facts that you've added other than the basic ones?
So the death fact, I've added the death fact, and I've added deceased to the date.
I think the question is, can you do it for custom facts?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you can do it for custom facts. So my Civil War fact, I believe, is a custom fact. Let's see, edit filters. Nope, I didn't do that one. Oh, here's one. So here's where I don't use residents in my tree at all. I use custom facts like census. I don't have any residence facts. So I created a filter that is for the residence fact. And this helps me keep my tree somewhat tidy. So I have one, so before I go into my compact backup routine, I check this filter to see if I missed changing anything that usually comes up as residents, like census. I created this filter so I would know if I missed changing any. So this particular one is stuck in here, and I don't know why, but this one no longer has a residence fact because I already fixed it. Census said residents, so I changed those. That is a custom fact. I can create a filter I can create a new filter, filter in where, so I'm going to go to all facts, and I'm going to go to census, and I'm going to go to, I'm going to change this to any data, and that says census exists, and any data for the census exists. And this is all the people that I have that have census facts. So I can save that, and I can go change census and save. And there it changed over. And these are just the people that have a census fact or more than one. And if I wanted to, I could go work on just those and see if I'm missing any. And then if I don't want that filter anymore, I can go into manage filters, delete, make sure I choose the right one, and delete, or for the 2017 users, minus. Okay. Now, okay, let's, okay, so now you know how to turn on and off filters, right? Is everybody comfortable with that apply button? That's how you turn on and off your filters. You choose your filter there. So I have that one. I decide I don't want to work on that anymore. So I just uncheck it and it goes back to the regular index. So
Wait. How do you choose the filter?
You just click here where it says your smart filters.
Gotcha. Okay.
and then you choose which one you want to work on.
Gotcha. Thank you. I just missed that one.
No worries. I'm glad you're asking questions. So I don't know about you, but back when I first started this, I, just like most people new to Ancestry, I just sucked up as much information as I could from Ancestry trees, right? And we all have one of those moments as we learn more. So I wound up quite a ways back just deleting that entire source and just getting it out of my tree. So there's still a lot that I don't have sources for now. I still need to go back and find sources for those. And my list is, if I print the undocumented facts report, oh my gosh, it is freaking long. So what I did, instead of doing some of these reports, and I, so let's see. So I need to work on ones that do not have, that are unsourced. So I'm going to, just to make sure you didn't miss this step. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do new filter. Watch this. This is so cool. Filter in, and I'm going to go to other, and I'm going to go to source information does not exist.
Ooh,
Isn't that cool?
that is cool. I was just thinking, how am I going to do that? You're
Okay,
reading
so
my mind.
so source information does not exist. I have about 1,700 people. That seems about
Oh.
right to me, but that is dozens and dozens of pages of a report, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to go need sources, and I'm going to save. There we go. So there, got 1,700 people, and now I can go in and just work on people that I have unsourced information, right? The estimated and, things like that. So let's see, let me go to like this person. I haven't worked on this branch of the tree in forever, but I know for a fact that this was a person that I got from another ancestry tree. So I need to go in and source all those. So I can just decide I want to just work on that one day instead of working off a ridiculously long report. Oh,
How did you reduce that again, Nancy? I'm sorry. I was thinking about that filter. How did you reduce that 17,000 down to this?
the 1718, that is that is the number of people in this filter. I have, let me see, how many people do I have in this tree now? I've got just a little over 6,000 people in this tree. So this particular one makes sense to me. It's pretty sad that I've got 1,000 people that need sources, but I can work off of this list instead of going back and forth between a report. Another one, let's see. I'm trying to think. Anybody have a good suggestion?
What if you wanted to do a list of like people that are buried in, say, Morgan County, Kentucky?
Okay. So
I didn't hear that. That was muffled. Sorry.
So she wants to do one where there's burial in one particular place. So I'm going to filter in all facts burial. contains, oh, and I'm going to do place, and I'm going to do like Evergreen Cemetery as an example. Okay. Oh, by the way, I know I do not have any alternate burial facts. I just know that I always merge any duplicates of those. So I'm not going to check mark alternate facts, but there may be instances where you are filtering something and you know that there's alternate facts also. So you would check mark that. I'm not going to, because I know I don't have any, but so let's see, Evergreen Cemetery, very common name. And I have 16 people that have Evergreen Cemetery in the place.
So, okay, that's great. You know, I have a lot of alternate facts. I suppose I could do a filter on that too, to
Well, you would
decrease.
include that in the filter. That
Okay.
checkbox is there, so you can check mark that, and it will include your alternate facts.
So you would have the same person listed a couple of times for every alternate fact on your
No,
list.
they're only going to be listed once. So they'll be in the index once. Yeah, they're going to only be in the index once. John, have you seen any instances where it is in the index twice?
No, because the index is strictly for people. Because like on your need sources filter, for instance, that one person, you know, had the name, sex, birth, death date that you didn't have any sources for. And it should be noted that until you have sources for all 4 of those facts, for every fact for them,
Yeah,
their name's going to stay in the list.
right.
And until every fact you have is sourced.
Right. And then they'll just drop off the list. So it's nice because you're always working with the current list.
Right, correct.
This is where 2017 users, though, it won't automatically drop off. You will have to recreate the filter. You know, maybe when we were using 2017, I'd work on 3, 5, maybe 5 people, and then recreate my filter so that they were no longer on the list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nancy, when you did this filter of people buried in a certain location, you said that you're choosing burial, contains, and then the place name. So is the place name pulling from under burial, the field called place? It's not pulling from date or description, right? Description would be an alternate fact, or what would description?
Right, let me create that again. So we're going to go new filter, and we're going to filter in, and we're going to go all facts, burial, and I'm going to change it to any data.
Oh, I see.
Okay, you can do place, you can do description field, you can do any data, so it will pull it in from place or description field.
Okay.
You can do it any which way you want to.
So
Any data is only for if the fact exists or doesn't exist.
Right.
So you can't use any data in that case.
Thank you, John. This is why John is here, to make sure that I don't give you guys any misinformation.
And place or description is it all depends upon where you store the cemetery name.
So back to
I'm sorry, what was that, Bernie?
Right.
Bernie, you're breaking up really bad. We didn't hear your question.
Say, it was more of a comment that these filters, in the case of burial, as John said, depends how you set up your burial information. If you, in my case, I have the cemetery in the description field, not the place, you know, Greensboro, North Carolina, something along that lines. So you got to be somewhat aware of how you set up your fact information when you build the filter.
Right.
Is there a better
And then-
way to put that in? A burial in the place or in the description?
That is totally user choice, your tree, your rules. I will say that when I changed my mind about where to put the cemetery, when I decided to put it in the place because of family members that wanted it that way anyway, they just wanted it that way. So this is the filter that I used when I moved them from the description to the place field. So this gave me all of them where I had it in the description. Then I went and I worked on those and until I had put all of them into the place field. And so I got that list down to 0. And then I deleted the filter.
Nancy, couldn't you, if you had it, like right now, I have information from that someone else shared their tree with me, so I have it in both the place and the description, and I'm doing what you mentioned, trying to clean it up and standardize it. Could I just add a second layer to that filter so that it would check both fields?
You could. I don't see why not. Let's try it. Filter in. Mine. Although mine, I'm not going to have anything. So I'm going to do, okay, so I'm going to go to place, contains, evergreen. Oh, I hope I spelled it right. Evergreen cemetery. And so I'm going to do that. And then filter in and burial. Yes, I know my alphabet. Okay. Description contains evergreen, green cemetery. If you have alternate facts for burial, you may want to make sure you check that box. So I still have 16, but you see where I have the filter, where I have it layered.
That's great. That would have solved the problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nancy, you could also, depending on how you put your information, if you put your location as say the town, county, and state, but then in the description put the name of the cemetery, you are all evergreen cemeteries in some place in Tennessee.
Right.
And so you can use that double layered filter to do it that way.
Right. You would do where it contains Tennessee, for example. Yeah. Okay. So let's, you can also filter for empty fields. So let's go to new filter and let's filter in where, let's say marriage. The marriage date is blank. Okay, again, if you have alternate marriage facts, you can just click this here. And so this will tell me if I have any blank marriage facts. And I do, which I didn't think I did. I probably should keep this filter. Yeah, and I'm gonna do.
It's interesting that it's the same number as your previous filter.
I know, but who knows? I find all kinds of stuff when I use filters. I find all kinds of stuff that I had no idea, honestly, that I have 16 people in the tree that I have oh, wrong person. I didn't click on a person in the list. I have a blank marriage fact. I really don't want that. So I'm going to delete it. And then that person is now gone out of my tree. You see, it was Barbara Barnhart. She's now gone. So again, 2017 users, you would still see her name up there. It won't disappear like that. Does that make sense?
Good reason to update. Good reason to update to 2019.
I'm telling you, this alone.
Yes, that was worth the price of upgrade for that.
Exactly.
That fact alone.
For me, this to me was so worth it. I was just incredibly happy with it. So you can, if you, let's see, let me check my notes again. So let's say that you want to filter people out of a, I'll just use this one. Let's say that you want to filter someone out because for some reason or another, this is a bad filter to do this with. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this one. So let's say I want to filter this person out of the filter. I can go to edit filter. I can filter out. Oh my, no, wait, hold on. Okay, I'm going to let you do this one for a minute, John.
Well, I think if you do your Civil War one, because that's like a compound filter.
Yeah, there you go. I had an example written down in my notes. Okay, so let's go into Civil War and we're going to edit the filter. So here's where I did birth is after 1830, birth is after, okay, so I filtered in where birth is after 1830. So that was filter in, right? And then I filtered out, which is this button right here, anyone who was born after 1850, because they're too young to serve in the Civil War. Well, theoretically, a lot of them did, and then I filtered out anyone that was female. And that gave me a list of 194 men that I have in my tree that could have served during the Civil War. So I use this filter to find Civil War records. If I just want to work on making sure I have Civil War records. So let's see with Lemuel. I don't think I have any for him yet, but nope.
What happens to them on the list when you add the Civil War fact?
They will not disappear out of this filter because edit filter, because they're filtered in for birth after 1830, 1850, and sex female. So they will not fall off this filter because all of these conditions will continue to have been met.
Could you add a filter line then that of whatever relates to you found?
Yes, I can. So I can filter in where all facts, and I can go down to my military Civil War. Nope. Any data exists. So that gave me.
Oh, you filtered in rather than
Yes, you're right.
out.
Yeah, I did. Manage filters.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So hang on. So
Well, you can just edit that. You can edit it.
Yep. Military, Civil War. Sorry, I got distracted.
Well, you can just filter the end. Or no, you can't.
No,
No, you can't. No.
Okay.
Yeah, delete it and recreate that. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to filter
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's logical, but you have to think about it. So I'm gonna filter out military. All my military ones are for each war. Any data exists. There we go. Okay. So that, here's my filter. There we go. 177 people. So let's see. I think I have, come on. Nope, I don't have a Civil War fact for him yet. Well, that didn't work out so well.
Yes, it did, because you had 190 something.
But
who
I don't.
had Civil War, and you filtered out those who have a war, have a fact, and it's dropped it down to 177.
I'm trying to think if it's going to fall off the list once I add, because the other conditions will have still been met. John, what do you think? Here, let's just do this. I'm going to add, let's do it this way. Let's find out. So, okay. So now I have a military service, or the military service Civil War fact. William Blanchard is gone. Okay,
Yeah.
so it worked. It worked.
No. And I mean, then you may also want to add a custom fact. If, say, you found out for sure, maybe you know for a fact this person didn't serve in the Civil War.
Right.
How come there are females listed there?
Because they wouldn't have served.
Well,
it's theoretically, it's the Civil War. So I took the females out.
Yeah, but
well, I think
he's looking at the tree, not the index,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the people will still be there. They just won't show up on the name index.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Just on the filter. They are still on the civil, they are still in the main index. There he is right there.
Yeah.
So it's just this filter.
Yeah.
Okay.
The tree view will still show your whole tree, or for the extended family there. It's just the name filter, the name index that the filter affects.
So
confusing.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Never mind. I'm just falling behind a little bit here.
Well,
I don't understand why it's showing on the pedigree chart and not on the index. You would think that what's in the index would be on that chart.
That was the point, John.
Well, yeah, it's because if you look down right below the name index, see, we've applied a filter. So the name index is only showing a subset of all the people.
But what she's curious about is whether you pick a pedigree or the other view in the tree, those relationships are still going to show regardless of the index.
Correct.
That's what she missed.
Filters do not affect the index. They don't affect the tree. That's part of what makes them just so wonderful, is that you're creating a really focused person index, instead of stumbling around in your huge regular index. This creates a much smaller one so that you can work on something focused. Like for me, the deceased, where I can just work on just death records or my needing sources. So it gives it that part of what makes it so wonderful that that we have this option for these filters, and why I keep saying, try it, you gotta learn it, it's awesome. Another one that I use from time to
time. Before you go on, can I ask John to clarify something?
Of course.
John, when we were looking at the burial filter, you said something about any data, and I missed what you said, that you couldn't use any data field for some reason.
Right, the any data, that is strictly for use to basically tell you whether or not that fact exists or does not exist.
Oh, okay.
Those are your only options. I mean, I can show you here on my screen here.
And then we're going to get into the really fun stuff.
So it's
Yeah.
really, is there any data is what it means.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, basically you're deciding whether or not the fact type actually exists.
Okay.
Okay, come on.
It's going to pull from the data that you have in your tree. It's not going to change anything. It won't assume anything. You have to
See if you've got like any data, these are your only options.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that just strictly tells you whether or not that fact exists or not.
Okay.
And one thing to be sure is, like, if you're counting on certain facts, this is how I find, like, people who I do not have a death fact for, but is likely dead. Because here I filtered in where the birth is before 1900, but then I filter out any that basically has a blank death date. And this also, and this basically leaves me with a list of people. Okay, so it's like, okay, I know this William Baum was born 1740, but he hasn't died. Well, I don't have a death fact for him.
Great. That helps.
So then here's where you could put in deceased, and but me personally, I'm lazy. I typed in the question mark. So it shows up as unknown, which means it's an unknown date. It's not like I don't know if they've died or not. It's just an unknown date. I mean, that's my way of doing it.
And then John could filter for where death date
is
unknown if he wants to later. So he could work on those. It's like very, very similar to working with my deceased ones.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, some more. Here's one I did. This is just for teaching. Oh, well, okay. This one is this is someone in the group had asked a question about, this is just a subset of my tree, so there's probably not anyone really in here. They wanted to know everyone for twins that were in their tree, but only on a certain lineage. So, well, yeah, see this one, this filter kind of broke because it's only a subset, but basically I filtered in the descendants of our common ancestor. And then, okay, I have to filter out where the birth fact does not exist. Because if I don't have a birth fact, I don't know if they're a twin or not. Likewise, I have to filter out people if the name is blank.
If you didn't put twin in your birth fact, you're still going to miss it, aren't you?
Yes, you will. Because in this case, I put the word twin in the description field. So that's how I do it. The filters haven't progressed enough where you can do kind of like calculated. So where the birth fact or the birth date equals the birth fact of a sibling. That's one thing I kind of keep hoping they'll progress on, maybe in Family Tree Maker 2022 or whatever the next major version will be. Maybe they'll add it.
I kind of like your idea about putting in the question mark for the date, because in my mind, that would mean I've at least looked for it and couldn't find one, as
Right.
opposed to just adding somebody and you haven't had a chance to research it yet. If it's still blank, that means I haven't even looked at it.
Yeah.
So we're running a little
And,
short on time, so I'd like to show you one more thing if John will let me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess it would help if I had this open. Okay. Sorry. I'll share my screen here in just a second. Okay. I just wanted to show you this real quick on these filters. Let me open this back up again. Okay. So this new filter in. Okay, this other button, this is just really cool. When I found this, I'm like, oh baby, this is awesome. So you can filter in any fact that exists, doesn't exist, any fact date. It can equal a date or does not equal, is before, is after, is blank, is not blank. There's all kinds of options. Any fact, places, or descriptions, which is, we discussed that just briefly. Here's one that's just for places, for any fact. Description fields for any fact. Any people with fact, any people or fact notes. This one I love because I use people notes a lot. This one for media, you have an option where it exists, doesn't exist. Media information can contain or not contain. You just put in, you type in, that usually comes from the media description field. That's where mine come up from. Your media notes, source information. We did that one before where the source information does not exist. Source citation notes. Those are citation notes. You can do a spouse count. So you can do equal. So like spouse count, you can do one where you're just looking for people that have 2 spouses or is greater than 2. So you would want some people that have 3 or 4, or, it's greater than 2. So you're going to get the ones that have 3 or 4 spouses. That was pretty cool. This one's pretty neat. Child relationship types. And you can see where you have biological, adopted, step, any of these relationship types, you can filter just for those, which is really, really cool. And there you have equals or does not equal. And there we have, we're always talking about relationship status, right? So you can go in and you can get all of the ones where you have listed it as deceased or divorced, or if they're ongoing, or if they're separated or unknown. And then you have the relationship types where it's friend, other, partner, private, single, spouse, unknown. So you can filter for just those issues in your tree. How cool is that? One other thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a filter for where spouse count is greater than 1, because then I can go through and, double check that the marriage orders are in fact or in order. The marriages are, you set the spouse order, so it's in order.
There you go. Screen is yours, John.
Oh.
Everybody trying to build filters?
Yeah, because I have, yeah, spouses. And this is strictly if it's greater than one. So I can go to, okay, so here's this person here. Okay, this Leona Anderson, she was married twice, so I can, oh, I've got an unknown spouse here.
Hate it when those happen.
I'm usually good at those, but
Yeah, me too. They happen. Unknown
oh,
spouse.
this is because I did an export, because there is a marriage, because she did have a second marriage, but that's why. But I can verify that the marriages are in order.
And notice that he has a preferred spouse button down at the very bottom, the little
Yeah.
check mark down there. You can click that and it will make that spouse the preferred spouse. It's pretty cool.
Right. So, yeah, so that one is like I went through. And if you would want them to get removed from the list, some things I've done is I've created like a custom fact. And I've already done this, so I removed it. I just create like a done. And this is for ones where description only. And then I'll customize my view here to display the done fact here. And then what I did then is then I filter out all facts done. And then I really don't care what's in those values. So I just say, as long as the done fact exists, I'll get rid of it. So that, okay, so now this Leona Anderson, I verified that. So I'll in the done field here. Okay, this is.
You're on Harry.
Yeah, sometimes in Zoom and this, it comes up. Yeah, it's not letting me, it's kind of hanging up here. You know, let me close my other, I had another tree open. Maybe that was part of the problem. Well, it's not, well, I could just type in something in the done field and then Leona will disappear. So from this list. So
Okay.
let me just stop the share here. Maybe that will.
So you in most reports, you can use these filters. You can create these filters. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, so let's go into publish and let's say, let's go into, let's say, no, person reports, custom report, create report. So here to use filters in a report, you would click this selected individuals and then it opens up your filter window. So you can see there where you have all those options available and you have all the same options, which is pretty cool. So that's how you do it in reports, these selected individuals. I think that they're in some charts too. I don't use charts much. So I don't, so again, here, even in the notes report, you can do selected individuals if it will populate. Come on, there we go.
Yeah. And here's where you can retrieve the filter for 2019.
Oh,
so if
yes.
You've already got a filter saved.
Yes. Hang on. Now I'm not responding. Okay. So I'm going to go, oh, that's the wrong report. Hang on a second here. So let's go to source reports and let's go to undocumented facts, selected filters, retrieve filters, need sources, retrieve. And there you get it in a report form. Pretty cool, right?
Yes.
So you can use those. I think you can do this in charts too, but I so rarely use them. Let me take a look.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be that one.
No.
It would be for any field that you can do it for selected individuals.
Relationship chart, you might be able to do it. Nope. I don't use relationship charts. I do know that they work in all of these person reports. I believe it works in most of the relationship or the family group sheet and the family view report. They definitely work. You can filter out facts if you don't want them, to display. The place reports, you can filter this one. And you can filter this one, the media usage report. I think I'm second guessing myself. Yes, you can. It's right there. So these filters, they come in handy. So what do y'all think? Do you feel a little more?
Yes.
Yes.
A question about how are people, say, using the facts for DNA, and then of course you'd be able to use the filters, but for example, who in your tree has done a DNA test? Who is a proven MCRA couple, and possibly any other information people might be using for the DNA results?
You would have to create facts.
Okay.
Yeah. This is all based on people and their facts that you have entered for them or that are missing for them. I mean, you could do it either way, it's there or it's not there and you need it to be there. So you want to filter and find those people, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And
I have a
any
question.
other?
I have a question on when you're creating a filter, what's the difference between match all values and match any value?
Because all values is going to be anything. If you want, but all value will be anything. If you want, go ahead, John.
Well, yeah, I can, well, I don't have it, but like some stuff I've mentioned in it, where some people like to have some way of noting that they verified all this data. So I recommend, create a verified fact, and then you can use like letters for like B for you verified the birth, D for the death, M for marriage, C for kids, however you want to do it. Now, the thing with match all values, so if you say just you do a filter and you want to say search for people with that you verified the birth and death, so you have it search for B and D, and you tell it to search all values. Okay, it's going to have B and D in it. If you say match any value, if it matches B or D, it will show up.
So that's how you could set an or condition as long as it was within the same area of the same fact.
Yeah, so the match all values, that's kind of like an and. It's got to have this and that. if it's match any value, well, okay, then it's got to have this or this, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes you have to play with the filter a little bit to get the data that you need. Sometimes you'll want to filter everybody in and then filter out. So, and in that case, you would filter out anyone that doesn't meet the condition that you want. Sometimes, especially if you want to layer, I have found that sometimes if I layer it one way versus the opposite way, that I get different results. I don't know why, but sometimes that does seem to work. So if you don't get the results that you want the first time you try it, then maybe do the layers the opposite way. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So each individual layer or each individual condition in a filter is always and.
Well,
yeah,
it can be or sometimes.
Well, yeah, because if you have like a filter in and then you have another filter in, that's basically an or.
It's more like then, isn't it? Filter everybody in, then filter out the women, then filter out somebody else, and then filter in somebody else again. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about, you know, if say, okay, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, you know, just post in the group too. And, you know, it's like I've had years of computer programming, so I know all about ins and outs and filter in this, filter out that, and, you know, all the logic of it and why it has to be done.
Just post something that says, I want to know this. How do I create this filter? And we'll help you build it.
Wow. Okay, you're going to get a lot of posts.
That's fine. That's fine. We just want you to feel more comfortable using FTM and all the different nuances of FTM. There's so much more to it than just recording of dry facts, you know, and you can do so much more with your tree rather than just, I'm just going to build up or I'm just going to build out and boring. This actually lets you focus on certain aspects of the tree that you want to focus on whenever you want. So, and you can have any number of filters. I don't know how many filters you've got, John, but you can have a ton of them just sitting there waiting for whenever you want to use them.
Well, yeah, with Family Book Creator, I've got 22 filters, and they're like double filters for each of it that I only use when I create books in Family Book Creator, because I like to color code the descendants. Well, you've only got 8 colors to play with.
Yeah.
But my grandma was the oldest of 11 children. So I can't really color code, use one color for each line. So what I do is I use 2 colors for each line. So the boys basically start with blue, and then I go through the other colors. The girls start with the pink or the magenta, and then go through it. So I've got like all these descendant filters, and they're duplicated. And then like, so I've got like, my grandma's name is Dorothy. So I got like a Dorothy 1 and Dorothy 2. Dorothy 1 is pink. Dorothy 2 is like orange, you know, so pink orange is her line.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You just can't assign 2 colors to the same, because you can't have like a pink, you know, because it'll only show pink once, you know, but.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're about out of time. So again, please, if you need help building filters or you don't understand, please post in the group and we will help you build that filter. Okay?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Ask one quick question, Nancy.
sure.
Yeah, Margaret?
When you do a filter and then you go back and add data, do you have to update that filter or will it include that person automatically?
In 2019, it will update automatically. Sometimes, depending upon the number of filters and the size of your tree, it might take a few seconds. But otherwise, and if you assign a color to it, it seems to update quicker than if you don't, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, really appreciate it.
Yes,
Oh, you're welcome. I hope you become a filtering fiend like me.
Might take a while.
Poor John has way more filters than me. Okay, everybody,
Yeah.
thank you for coming. I hope this has helped and I will see you back in the group.
Okay.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.